back to life, back to reality, back to life.
It's working, people. You are listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice
and Jane, and we are back for season numero dos.
Whether you wanted it or not, here it is. And Jane, I'm gonna let you know I'm fueling up.
Oh, girl, I am fully loaded right now.
Are you already fueled?
Yeah, I'm fueled, and I'm maintaining as
okay.
well.
Oh, I thought you have a maintenance program.
That's I'm on the maintenance program. I am
very proud to know that you've planned that way. That's perfect. I love it so much. You guys, we are so back for season 2. We are so excited. Jane, we've given them almost 6 full weeks to listen to the rest of season 1. Do you think they did it?
Well, looking at our stats, it looks like our 3 listeners have definitely listened. Nice. Maybe shared it with a couple of friends, but I have faith in our listeners that they're going to grow and they're going to share and they're going to like and do all the things.
And they're going to regret that they didn't do it earlier. And now they're not one of the OG listeners, right?
Right.
So sorry. But to the OG listeners out there, we see you. We love you.
Everybody else?
Actually, we don't see you because we can't see you. This is audio, but you know what we mean. So we are so excited. So yeah, we're going to jump in and in the next bit of time here, we're going to kind of look back on our summer. What did we do while we weren't with you? We're going to look ahead at start of school. Everybody is out there doing it right now. And we're going to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what we got coming for you this season. That about sums it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Jane, let's pretend we're all going to school. It's the first day and your teacher says, okay, Jane, what did you do this summer? And go.
Oh my God. Well, on our break, we've had a lot of different transitions going on in our household and stuff like that. We have our brother.
Yes.
Our sister-in-law Shoko living with us right now. So that's fun. And
and their 2 dogs. Don't forget.
And their 2 dogs. Yes. It's been interesting, but we're getting down to routines and stuff like that. So everything's kind of
good
getting worked out. And we had a really good hire at my work. So that's helping me with offloading some work. So that's nice. That's a good transition. I have met some new people in my life and have some new friends and maybe more interest, but we'll see. And some fun things happening there. I'm sure that will unfold and in due time. But just a lot of transitions. There's some emotional stuff going on in my world, having to close my office, make room for other things in my life and just shuffling things around and refreshing and re-energizing everything, which is good. And it's what I needed. So it was a nice little break and now everything's just coming together. Chase is starting college. Jenny's starting 8th grade.
Woo, woo.
Jeez Louise, it's all happening.
I love it. I'm gonna before I comment on what you've shared, I'm going to make a note. And my note is this: you didn't even bring up the highlight of your summer, which was your trip here for July 3rd. So
oh my God,
what does a girl have to do
for last?
Okay
There was a pause.
Good save, sis. Good save. Wow.
We came down for 4th of July. That was so much fun. The girls and I, and they had so much fun. And so much fun that Aunt Janice is their new favorite aunt. And
I love it. Just gotta have a pool in the backyard. That's the secret. It's all about the pool in the backyard. That's
just
all.
The pool. Yes. And
I'm pretty sure that's how we got them to call me aunt with so little time with me. And I'm okay with it. I'm completely fine with the linkage. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, 100%. If that's the sacrifice is having a pool, I mean, hey.
Exactly.
The hot tub was nice too. I mean, you're my favorite sister now. So, it's true. The hot tub.
I knew when we met how daunting it would be to become your favorite sister. I knew there was a lot to overcome. And so I'm just grateful that I've been able to do that in such a short time.
Did you start digging the hole as soon as we met? I mean, like, it sounds like it.
Maybe. Look, Joe had some free time. I was like, get a shovel, get in the backyard, and
the backyard's yours, sir. We're trading off. No, we had such a good time. And actually this weekend, because my birthday is a week from today, because this is going to launch on the 14th. So my birthday is the following Monday. And so I'm doing a weekend with a friend, and then and the girls are coming to your house.
I know, I'm so excited.
Yes, yes.
It'll be so fun. We're gonna be able to pamper them a little bit. And I love that they're at those ages literally where it's like all I have to do is say, here's the food and here are the drinks and here is the pool. And I have done what I set out to do. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And they are self-contained. Exactly.
Exactly. It's beautiful. And I'll get to see you, which is good. We I would say I feel like the summer flew by. And
it did.
We were really fortunate to spend about a week and a half on the East Coast with family there at the Outer Banks in North Carolina, which was probably second only to the visit with you, July 3rd. Notice I said it early. So that was really great because we haven't had a chance to do that. And honestly, one of the things I'm really proud of in my world is the work that Joe and I have done to blend our families. And we celebrated our 10-year anniversary this summer, which was also really exciting. 10 years of me gracing his life, is what we celebrated. And those are his words, by the way, not mine. Totally.
Oh yeah,
totally
I heard him say it.
You're my witness. Yep. No, in all seriousness, but 10 years, and while we were with family, and it was great because it was like, we had 4 of our children. No, that's not true. 3. We had 3 of our children, plus one of the grandchildren, plus a big chunk of Joe's family, his sister and brother and their kids and extended cousins. And then also what I consider my family. And my family really is my ex-husband's family. They were the family I adopted when I left the mess that was mine, at 18, and they have stood by me, and divorce was not something that changed that. So it was really wonderful to put all those people together, right, and have them all spend time together. So that was really cool. And then I did a lot of traveling for work. I took on a new role in January, and I'm really starting to expand the territory in the places that I'm working. And we actually just had Montana, our 25-year-old, here for a week and a half. She came for Taylor Swift, so I was able to take 3 of the 4 girls to Taylor Swift, which was really just an incredible experience. And then our youngest son, who's also 25, the 25-year-olds overlap by about 4 months, moved back from Salt Lake. So we have been kind of adjusting to, he's splitting his time between moms and a couple nights a week here, and he's kind of regrouping in terms of going back to school and all that fun stuff. So, but honestly, he's been away for 2 years. So it's been so great to just have him back in our sphere, right? Yeah. Like closer and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's been crazy, but great. And now it's all over with, and it's time to start school, people.
Yes.
Time to start school. Yes.
Yes, she said. For us to start school.
Exactly. And I'm actually really excited. So you and I are both in these same positions, right? Like most people listening can relate. I have a 16-year-old, our last child, who is starting her junior year. We have our 4-year-old granddaughter starting preschool. And you have your 2 youngest, who are, tell us what grades.
Well, Chase is going into community college. So she just graduated high school.
Freshman year, baby.
Yep. And then Jenny is starting 8th grade. So she has 5 more years of public school, and then she's off to wherever she wants to be off to.
What's important is she survived 7th grade, and that's my mantra. If a girl can survive 7th grade, she can survive
anything. 7th grade blew big time, I think, for every girl.
For almost every single girl, it blows. There's just that's it. It just blows. Yeah. So yes, I love it that she survived, and 8th grade is going to be a breeze, and then she'll be off to the wonderful world of high school. It's exciting. So how are you adjusting to having a college age child now in the home? And how's that changed your dynamics, and what's going to go on there?
Well, I mean, you know this about me. I'm pretty open with my kids and talk to them about everything, and they have quite a bit of freedom, and so because it's about trust with them, and they know that, and so I trust my kids, and unless they start doing stuff that takes that trust away, and then we have to rebuild. But no, so Chase really does her own thing. She goes to work, she's with her friends, she's home, but she's, she's excited, and she's at the fair right now, the little county fair, and with her friends. Yeah, because she starts school tomorrow. And so it's cool. And but the schedule is a little different now, but she did get a job with the school, so she's going to be there pretty much all day Thursday. Yeah, and then she's keeping her other job, which is awesome. And so
I love it.
yeah, and so she's just going to keep busy with that. Our one challenge is that she's not driving yet, and I had to do some things, and so I wasn't able to give her the car that I wanted her to. So we had to make some adjustments, and so it's going to be a little tough with schedules and stuff. But with Devin being here, he's already said that he would help with up and drop off and stuff, because her school is about 15 minutes away on the freeway. So there's a lot of adjusting, and luckily I have Devin and Shoko here, and they can help out until we can secure a car for Chase December. And so that's kind of our timeline for right now, and we're just working it out,
I love it.
And so we're just helping each other out. It takes a tribe.
It takes a freaking tribe. And I love that you're, my guess is all of the, I'm going to say moms, the dads too, but we obviously relate more to the moms that are out there listening to you talk, and they're probably saying thinking exactly what I'm thinking. And that is, man, she's covering up a lot of stress and shit. And what I mean by that is, you're like, so we're adjusting, and we're gonna, and that's what we do, right? That's exactly what we do as moms. Like, we're gonna do, when the reality of what that actually looks like is very complex and very stressful, and fucking shit, how am I gonna make this out, right? Like, so I just want to note that I know that you're doing, I get why you're doing it, and I think
oh yeah, don't let my high fool you.
Literally her high. She means, by the way,
it's cool, everything's fine. Everything's
and this is why pot has to be legal, so that we can deal with the freaking stress, right? So I know you're covering a lot there, and it's funny because you mentioned Chase. I love that Chase has another job. I keep, with Joe and I have this conversation a lot, like with our young adult children, that when we I had my first job when I was 12, right? And by the time I went to college, I had disassociated from my family, and so it was just me. So I feel like there's only been a small window of time in my life when I have not worked two jobs, right? And I literally, even when I was a high school principal, I was an adjunct professor, right, for a university. Like, I have almost never only worked one job. And at that age, from 18 to 25, it was, I don't even know how many hours a week, 2 to 3 jobs, making as much money as I could make, right, to survive. So I love that she has that second job.
And she likes money, and she likes money, and she also she's very creative, and all those things, and she works at Michael's right now, and so every day she comes home with a bag, and I'm like, do you,
oh my god,
make money, or did you
just spend your paycheck?
Did you what's going on? Oh no, this is all on sale, Mom, look. And I'm
of course.
So, but she's very creative, and she's always making something for her friends. Like, she loves baking and all that stuff. So the fact that she spends a majority of her money on stuff to be able to give to other people, I'm like, okay, it's very sweet. Love language, that's her love language. And she makes us cupcakes all the time, and stuff like that. She just likes doing those types of things. So I love that for her, and she doesn't really need money right now, but now with a pending car, and I want to be able to pay for the car, which I'm going to do, but then she's going to have to pay insurance and gas and all of those things, and so that's going to be adulting 101 for her,
right.
And so the fact that she's driven and wants to get another job because she knows that's coming makes me happy. And the convenience of being at the school and stuff like that, and her current job has helped her with that. They immediately we want to hire you
100%.
So
the sooner you get that first job, the better. And she's had hers for a hot minute, right? And honestly, our youngest just got her first job. She's a greeter at a restaurant here in the area. And that's a part of kind of the launch plan that I have formulating as an online course in my head for parents that one day I'm going to make a reality. But it's an idea that it's not about them getting a job at 16 because they need it. In
Right.
fact, if they don't need it, that's something to be super grateful about. It's about like using that as the beginning of the experience that they start to have in terms of,
Right.
developing who they'll be as a professional and as an adult, but also like, Cami, of course, our youngest was, just awestruck when she got her first paycheck. It was only for like a couple of days, and she's like, who the hell is FICA, right? But
Exactly.
like all of us, that first paycheck, right? But her second paycheck was much bigger because it's a summer and she's working a lot, and so we basically are saying all of it goes into savings except one little piece, right, that she can use to spend, because for now she has a 16-year-old brain. It's not developed enough to say, sure, you figure out how you should spend your money, right? And so and to your point, what our kids know is that we don't buy our kids cars, so none of them have owned a car before they graduated high school, but then as soon as they're graduating high school, they're buying a car and they're paying for their own insurance. We will pay for their insurance from 16 to graduation, but after that. And so if you're going to go to college, you got to have a chunk of change in the bank, it's saved in order to pay all that stuff while you're in college, right? And I love that she's working while she's going to school, because I do think a lot of parents, and I get it, I respect the heck out of this kind of approach of like, they're going to have their whole lives to work. They don't need to do that now. But my thought about that is, okay, true statement, don't get me wrong. However, part of how you figure out what you do and don't want to do is by having some of those initial jobs, right? And part of how you begin to, I can't remember the expression you just used, but I loved it. So it's already gone. But how she starts to learn to adult, right? You can't learn to adult if you're being handed stuff until you're 22 years old, right? You have to baby step it. So I love that.
And I agree with the whole not buying a car and stuff like that. But I get into the situation. I've never done that for one of my children, and I really don't want to. But it's me overcompensating for the other parent,
not alone,
making promises that they couldn't keep, and so now I'm like, F. But it's also a benefit to me because she will help with her little sister,
and that's a little different. It's almost like you're buying a second car that she gets to use because she's helping out with, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit different. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And don't get me wrong, like, our kids have always known plenty of kids whose parents just buy them a car. Sure. And that's fine. Again, like, every parent, every family, do you, like, it's all good. We just have our own approach. And to your point, right, it really is about, like, if you're not mature enough to have some fiscal responsibility for it, you're not mature enough to be driving it around full time. Like, you own the place, right? So, So with all of that in mind, that's a great kind of transition to what we know all the parents out there are doing right now, right? Everybody's prepping to get back to school. On my parent coaching side, I just did a live video that I'm sure everybody listened to, right? Right, everybody did. Okay, good.
Yes.
From that, everybody did in the whole world, the billions of people on the earth. But it really was about, like, as parents who are sending a kid off to college for the first time, right? And it was really designed for my kids going away for the first time. Although there's some application to even in a case like Chase where she's going to be home, in terms of like, what do I have to be thinking about to ensure that we both get our needs met, right? Because there's, especially when they leave for college, but even when they're at home, it's I'm 18 and I'm adult now. What are the boundaries if I'm living at home versus when I'm not living at home? And I kind of created some big buckets. One was communication. One was organization, like how you help them organize. One was the kind of importance of the social, but also safety angle. And then a bunch of like miscellaneous stuff that I shared. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about a couple of those things, like how you guys are thinking about that in terms of Chase now being a young adult in the home, right? Not a child, if you will, in the home. And I suspect it's going to be a little different because, like you said, there's a lot of trust and kind of freedom, if you will, it sounds like, that you already give. So what do you guys think about in terms of the adjustments?
The adjustments, for us, she really does have a lot of freedom because I do trust her. And she communicates with me. That's something that I've instilled with both of them, or all of my kids really, is that communication is key, and I'm never going to assume the worst, I'm going to always assume the best, but I need to know if the worst is going on, and make sure that you're communicating that. But with Chase, she's a good kid, and we discuss everything, and she is very communicative when it comes to safety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's all about just making sure that they're prepared. She has her mace, she has her, she has her phone, she has all the things, and she is working on, and I'm helping her with this, being more aware of her surroundings, because there's, our kids have their face in their phone and stuff like that. I mean, they walk out into the middle of a street half the time and not looking. So that's one of the big things that I help her with, is making sure to be aware of her surroundings. Look at that person. What do you think? What, do you get a weird vibe? Blah, blah, blah. If there's ever somebody that's in that, in that realm, and I've been around, because I have a very good sixth sense for that kind of stuff. And I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a I think, when we talked before, our sister-in-law Shoko was at the local Ross, and she was getting followed by two males in the Ross, and they were trying to trap her in aisle and stuff like that. And so she got out and left, and called Devin and told him. And so I said, you need to call the police. This is,
absolutely.
I mean, it could be a sex trafficking thing. It could be something, I don't know what could be worse than that, but whatever. And there's young girls. I said, Chase is out there with her friends right now, and I don't know exactly where they are. So, they called the cops, and then 10 minutes later, there's two police helicopters circling the town. And so I'm like, okay, either they're looking for them, or this is just coincidental. But I immediately sent a message to Chase and said, where are you? She's like, I'm at the movies. I'm like, okay, here's what happened. Make sure that you're on the lookout. And she's like, okay, I will. Thanks, Mom. And I could have just sat there and go, oh, she's going to be fine, but we don't know. No matter if they're 5 miles away or across the country or across the world, having that communication, that open communication, and just knowing that I'm not being overbearing. I'm just giving you a heads up, like, hey, and take it seriously. Don't blow me off and just be like, oh, Mom, you're just being ridiculous. No, this is serious.
Well, I love that you're connecting, honestly, Jane, the safety and the communication piece, right? Because lots of times when I coach parents around how they, like lots of times when I'm coaching parents around the transition to after high school, in this case, college, right? A big part of the angst that they feel is like, my kid doesn't text, my kid doesn't respond to me. When I text, my kid doesn't call, my kid doesn't. And of course, what you and I both know is that you got to back that up, because that's a pattern that you've established, right? This isn't just about them going away, but unfortunately, you're likely experiencing the result of what you've created over time, right? So you got to back it all up. But even in a situation where that's what you've created, right? With going into that adulthood phase, that first year out of high school, is a good time to regroup and be able to say, okay, maybe before we haven't done it this way, but now moving forward, I need us to be able to do it this way, right? I need us to have regular communication. What can that look like? And it's almost like you have to kind of co-create it together, because they are young adults, right? If you've raised your kids with a do it because I said so mentality, which of course you have not, but certainly plenty of parents do. When they turn 18, you get the smack in the face of, well, guess what? You're not the only adult anymore, right? Now I actually have a legal right to do it, whatever the hell I want. And so really now you have to kind of backpedal it. But assuming that all along you've created a different relationship than that with your kids, it's still important to really just talk about what are the expectations going to be if you live at home or if you go away to school, right? And come to some consensus around what works for both of you, right? Versus this is what I want or I need, but what will work for both of us to ensure we're safe. And I hate to say it, but it sucks to have to say it, but to your point, really acknowledging the fact that the world we live in is not particularly safe. And I don't care what neighborhood you live in. I don't care what part of the state or country you live in. The world we live in is not particularly safe. And yes, we're going to do a whole fireside chat, which we'll talk about here in a minute in terms of what's coming this season around the movie, The Sound of Freedom, and this idea of human trafficking and all the safety and stuff that goes with that. But for now, I'll say that, even with that, it's even a reminder that, like, it's not even good enough to have a text, right? So in some way, shape, or form, you kind of have to have like some kind of code with your kid that says, if you send me a text that says, hey, I'm going to go stay the weekend with so-and-so, so don't be worried if you don't hear from me, you need to include the code word so I know you're actually sending that text, because that's the bullshit that happens, right? In terms of like when people get grabbed. But so combining like for parents thinking about how will you co-design and kind of co-agree on what will the communication look like when we drop you off at college and now you're doing your thing, right? How are we going to agree? What are we going to agree to? And along those lines, like you're saying, with our kids, and again, it's true, it's sad, but it's true, especially our young women, how we build in those extra safety measures, right? And I'll say, in addition to what you said about Chase, the one thing that I add is, obviously what I'll say are the givens, but not everybody thinks about it or does it. You should always be in a pack rather. There should always be somebody who's designated to be the person who's on watch. Every time you go out, you have to take turns doing that.
Right.
And when you feel unsafe, make a fucking scene. I don't care where you are. I don't care who's around. I don't care how embarrassing it feels. Make a fucking scene, because what we know is that predators are looking for easy targets. Yeah. And the moment you start making a scene, they're going to, most of them are going to back up and go someplace else. So that's honestly one of my biggest safety tips for parents for their kids as they're going away.
No, that's great. And that's huge, because you're right. The predators are looking for quiet, easy prey, and not somebody that's squawking. That's for sure. Exactly. But as we were talking about, and you said it, setting expectations with the kids, and resetting them.
Yes.
Sometimes I mean, I know this through my coaching, that sometimes people have a hard time even setting expectations and holding people accountable. So actually, as you were talking, I was like, oh, doy, I'll bring up my tool. So I actually have like an accountability recipe. It's a basic recipe for accountability. And if you don't mind, I'll just run through it real quick, and we can also add it to
we'll add it to the notes,
book and stuff in the notes. But it's good, and you can use it in any situation. I use it for a lot of business coaching and stuff like that when we're doing taking on new processes and procedures, or getting the group input, stuff like that. But this is something that I've been using for many, many years, and it's really awesome. And if you follow it and really do it, it works. So there's 6 steps to it. So the first step is identify who's involved, right? So we're going to identify the key players and their roles. So if we're talking about the parent, the parent and the child going to college, so the parent's role is to protect, the child's role is to communicate to the parent and make sure, okay, those are our roles in this situation. Great. Yep. So then number 2 is you're going to set mutually agreed upon and clear goals, right? What is the goal of this? It's to keep you alive, kid. It's to keep you above ground, happy, thriving, and learning and doing all of these things, right? That's the end goal. And to get you back home for the holidays and keep, rinse and repeat, right? Yep. So, but what is the goal of the child, or the new college? Yeah. Maybe their goal is to have some more independence.
That's right.
So
a lot of new people.
There's 2 sides. It's not just you must answer to me. It's, but I understand that you're an adult. So what would you like out of this agreement? Right. How about, hey mom, like, don't bug me if I don't text you back in 15 minutes, like, give me an hour. I'm maybe doing something or whatever. Yeah. Then if I don't text you back in an hour, you can mad dog call me. All right, cool. Here's mutually agreed upon clear goals, like, this is what we want. Then identify capabilities, right? And backtracking to the goals, you have to have the overall goal, the individual goals, but then also a timeline goal. And how long is this going to last until you're feeling comfortable, or whatever the case may be, right? Because they don't expect this to last forever.
Right.
But if you're not setting that up front, mom might be thinking, or dad might be thinking, this is lasting forever. And the kid might be thinking 3 months is long enough. I don't need to be doing this anymore. Right.
But let me interject there. So we're talking about, you're running through this tool with general communication and how frequently, et cetera, in mind, but tag on to that, along the goal piece. That's what made me think about this, Shane, what is like, as your kids are heading into college, if that's what they're doing next, thinking about goals in terms of what are agreed upon goals in terms of grades, what are expectations around what you're going to, and how frequently do you have to inform me, and all the stuff. Yeah.
Right. You can use this formula on every set of expectations.
Yeah.
This works for every scenario.
Yep.
So then Step number 3 is identifying capabilities. There's 3 little questions. What will cause me to fail? What training is required? And what tools do we need?
Yep.
Are we asking the right person to do the job?
Right.
If we're asking somebody that has zero knowledge about what we're asking them to do, and we put them in that spot, guess what? They're going to fail.
That's right.
And we're setting them up for failure at the very beginning. If we're not asking ourselves, what do they have the proper tools? Do they need any training? And are they equipped? Then, we're missing the boat.
That's right.
Identify capabilities. Number 4 is track and measure. What and why are we tracking? And what are we tracking? We need to make sure that we're tracking whatever it is. And
how often, I'm assuming, right? Like, when do we agree we're doing that?
Right. Yeah. How is it being tracked, and what are we comparing it to?
Right.
So, and I mean, if this is communication with mom and dad, I mean, tracking, I mean, I guess if they're fucking up, and you're like, hey, look, here's all the missed calls you have from me, then fine, there's your tracking. Right. But, whatever it is. Step number 5 is consistent, focused, and formal feedback. How often are we meeting, and what are we discussing? You have to have an agenda and say, hey, we're sitting down to talk about this. This is what I want to talk about. What would you like to talk about? Okay, do we have enough time to talk about both? All right, let's get going, and make sure to make it happen. And then finally, outcomes. So there's 3 different types of outcomes. There's rewards for, reward appropriately or whatever. The second one is help, where if something failed, let's go back through 1 through 5 and see where we missed something, because more than likely it's in steps 1 through 5. Right. So then where do we need to go get help? And then the third is position adjustment or consequences, if you would. Like what would be the end consequence if this doesn't go this way, and the wheels fall off, and we come back and we're doing formal feedback and we're making sure that we're holding each other accountable and giving each other grace, and then it just continues to happen. We need to have a consequence here. Yeah. Right.
Well, and I wonder about, and I love that. I love the whole thing. And you're making me think about 2 things, right? Because I feel like part of what you can build in there, and again, we're talking specifically about communication with your kid and getting them to communicate with you, which tends to be the hardship that parents present with, right? And honestly, one of the strategies, and I feel like it could be built in there, I'd have to see the 6 steps in front of me again to think about the best place for where, but one of the strategies, frankly, that I suggest to parents to use is do unto others, right? In other words, building in to say, listen, if we're agreeing through this accountability structure or framework, if we're agreeing that, when we text each other, you're going to respond within 24 hours or whatever it is, then the same is true for me. 100%. So if you text me and you have a question or you want something, I'm going to respond to you in the same timeline you respond to me. So if you want an answer in 5 minutes, I'm going to need an answer in 5 minutes. If you are good with waiting 24 hours, great, then we're going to wait 24 hours. But that whole idea of like, it's mutual, right? It goes back and forth, can be built into something like that to help codify it. So it's both like, and it almost kind of comes back to your point about the end result, that outcome. Part of the reward is you get a response from me as quick as you want because you did this, you gave me the same.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And you build it in the goals, because the goals are all about, both sides wanting something.
That's right. Exactly.
From the situation.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. So it's individual goals, whatever, it's the group goal, family goal, whatever it is, and
the kind of collective communication.
Exactly.
How are we going to do this? Yeah. And it's honestly, that goes for, I mean, we're talking about your kids going away to college or going to college, but that goes for anything, right? Because the number of times, like we've all as parents, right, gotten a text from our kid and they're asking a question and we don't answer it right away. And 5 minutes later, we get the same text in all caps.
Right.
Like,
they're like,
and that's an immediate, I will get to you when I get to you response on my part. Like, okay, so that's not going to work out for us. But again, it's empowering when you kind of say, no, it's okay. We're going to respond accordingly. So I like that idea of like the group community, like the goals we're setting are for both sides, right? It's not just what you're going to do, it's what we are going to do. I love that. So, and along those, lines of communications, and I mentioned it really quickly, is this idea of like, when your kid moves beyond high school, if they're in a school setting, then they're going to class, they're earning grades, etc. And lots of times that's where the pushback comes from too. And again, a lot of this has to do with what you've done up until this point with your kiddos. But what I coach parents around is this idea that, listen, assuming you are supporting this endeavor in some way. It might be only emotional support. It might be you have a roof to live under when you come home. It might be that we're helping pay for it, whatever it is. That's, again, kind of a contract type of thing, right? Like if we're helping support, of course, it would be expected that we then know how you're performing, right? And coming to, and I love the framework you just gave in terms of coming to some agreements about what we expect and what happens if we don't meet the expectations, what happens when we do, how often we communicate, etc. So all of those things I think are super, super important. The other thing that I'll mention along these lines, and then, you know, anything that you want to add in terms of what parents should be thinking about, Jane, is under the heading of organization, right? So as a high school principal, every single fall, we would have our graduates come back because they all, you know, they come to homecoming and they do that whole thing. And so, and, you know, it's funny how fall of their freshman year, they want to come back to the high school and just check it out and see what's what, and, you know, what have you, you never see them again after that. But that first you know, completely, like, it was like clockwork every single fall. The biggest piece of consistent response I got to how are things going, right, was a struggle with time management, right? Because from the moment they're old enough to walk around and go to dance class to the moment they graduate high school, somebody else is managing their time, right? Through their activities, through their whatever. And so it's amazing how a kid can perform really well when they know this is the only 90-minute window I have tonight to do homework. So I really don't have a choice. That's when I'm doing my homework. Right. Translate that to college where, you know, Chase is probably taking 3, 4, 5 classes, but that still really only amounts to probably 15 hours a week in class. The rest of it, you got to figure out how to structure on your own. Right. And you have to develop routines to actually get the things done.
Yeah. Well, you know, fortunately, Chase is my child. And she,
for better or for worse.
Yes, for better or for worse, forever. Amen. She is so good at managing her time, and she's always on time to everything. And she learned that from me because I was like a drill sergeant when she was little, and I'm like, we got to go, let's go. Like I was a single mom of 3 kids, you know, and then a 4th, and you know, and just it was always schedule, we got to go. And so she learned that if she just learned to get ready and be ready, you know. And it also helped the year that we lived with our friends, and I had all these buses set up for them to go everywhere, and, you know, like, it's fine, you know, it's fine. Yeah. I am the master maneuver person when it comes to getting rides and stuff like that. I don't know how I work my magic, but anyways, she was responsible for getting Jenny up. And so she would take her shower, get ready, make sure that Jenny got up, and they were out the door by 6:30 in the morning, you know, because I was already at work at 4:30. Yeah. So she's always been really good about managing her time. She gets mad at me now, like if I'm like, okay, yep, we can leave in a couple minutes, and I'm like 1 minute behind, she's like, oh, you know, like she's on top of it. So I know she'll be fine.
Absolutely.
But that came with a lot of training.
That's right. You know, it didn't happen by accident.
Which did not happen by accident. Now her younger sister, Jenny, holy hell, that girl can drag her feet and take forever. And I'm like, but that's because Chase did it for her. You know? So now, since Chase is going to have a different schedule and stuff, Jenny's going to have to, you know, pick up the slack. So there's going to be a learning curve. I know.
Well, and it's always, it's about incentives, right? Because it's funny you say that, because with 6 kids, they've all had different ways of approaching this, but our 23-year-old is the one who I would say they're all, the girls in general tend to be a little bit more organized, a little bit, the whole thing. But the 23-year-old is the one who I would say was, you know, is most routine oriented, like has all of her little systems down and her highlighters and her stickies and all the things for the scheduling and all those kinds of things. The youngest one is a little bit more laissez-faire about life, etc. But again, the job has been so important for her because we basically established 10 minutes early is on time. So we are not driving you to work if you're not arriving 10 minutes early, which means we have to leave our house at this time before your shift. And if you're not ready to go, you might have to call in sick. So sorry. Let us know how that works out. And it's amazing how that incentive of, I don't want to have to call in sick and I want to earn that money. Now all of a sudden, like, she's great. She's right there on time in the moment that we said, and boom, right? It's off we go to the races. So you know, it's all about how you frame it. And again, what are those incentives, right? What are the things that you know they're going to act for? And here's what they don't act for: because you said so, right? As the parent, That's not an incentive at all,
No,
right? We love to think it is, but it certainly is not.
It's so
not. So let's
that crap.
I'm looking at time. All right, let's take a deep breath. So we've talked about our summer. We talked about some things that are going to be transitioning this fall and how parents can be thinking about supporting their kids. In the chat or in the description, I've already said I want to put your accountability recipe. I'm going to put my teen talk guide in there because that's just like the whole how to have tough conversations. And I'll put a link to the live video that I did that goes into detail about some other things in terms of your kid transitioning to college. But let's talk about now, like, more than ever, this is a time I feel like for parents, especially moms, to take a deep breath and like, okay, in the next couple of months, as all the things are getting underway, how am I going to take care of myself? Jane, how are you going to take care of yourself in the next couple of months, friend?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have some trips planned, so that's nice. And yeah, I'm going to be up in Wisconsin for a week.
Oh, nice.
Your friend, yeah, and then a very good friend. And
you know what, we're not going to go into this, but that was a bit of a tone. If people could see your face right now, they'd be like, okay, Wisconsin, with quote fingers, Wisconsin, okay. Anywho.
Anyways, you made me blush, Janice. Okay.
Love it.
What else? The things.
So you're gonna take some trips, take some time for yourself.
Yeah, because that's a big one. I feel like I was playing a game with my Wisconsin friend, and we had these little cards, and they were just like, they're like questions that you ask each other, to get to know each other. And one of the questions was where are you overlooked, or what is overlooked in your life, and I thought about that, and I was like, oh, I kind of overlook myself. I forget how much time I spend on everybody else and not enough time on me and stuff like that.
Hold on. Does that sound familiar to any of our listeners? Anyone raise your hand right now? Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to check in.
It's very rare. It's very
so rare. It's so rare. So rare. You're right.
I mean, it's just really
nobody can relate to what you're saying.
I know. Like, it's just really my problem, and you guys just really don't understand. Holy shit, are you kidding me? I think every adult overlooks themselves at some freaking man. So I have some trips planned. We're gonna see you on this weekend, and and we're gonna go hang out a little bit. And we didn't talk about our fireside chats.
Well, because that's next. The final thing is to talk about what's coming.
Sorry.
Oh my God, could you just
spoiler alert? God, please, just stop yelling at me.
I sent the plan to you like never. So follow it, please.
You know what? You were fucking late. Okay. So Miss, I'm 10 minutes late.
They wouldn't have known that if you hadn't just said that.
Well, you shouldn't have said that you're always early shit and then start talking shit to me. Okay.
All right, fine.
Anyways, love you so much. So trips, and then just really just focusing on one thing at work right now, which is great.
I love that.
I can't wait.
Good.
And so I'll be able to de-stress a little bit from that. So that's good. There's definitely some changes going on there, so I'm very excited about that, and that allows me more capacity for our stuff.
I love it.
Maybe start doing some lives or TikTok lives and stuff like that, do some fun shit.
I love it.
And together, and that would be a lot of fun. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I love it. And I feel like I've got a little bit of a lull for the next couple of months, and by that I mean like not on the road as much with work. And so I'm just trying to take that opportunity to like be present here at home and focus on whatever's in front of me versus my mind is constantly going to all the things also unrelatable to our audience.
Right.
And so I'm just trying to like be present for the thing that's right in front of me. And Joe and I have a trip to Colombia. I have a cousin who's getting married in October. Right. So we're going to Colombia, and we extended this trip by a few days because we literally never travel on our own. We've taken a few in 10 years. We've taken a few like 3-day trips by ourselves, but this will be literally the first time we've spent, we've taken a trip away and had that much time together. So, and it's the first time I feel like we've it is the first time we've traveled internationally since he got out of the Navy. So it's, so we're looking forward to that. So I think, for the folks who are listening, I think that, if you take nothing away from this initial episode this season, and we'll talk a lot about all the self-care things, right? That's a part of our common conversation, but just be really thinking about how you're intentional about yourself over the next couple of months, as you get all the people off to school, as you do all the things for all the people, without carving out that time and that focus for you. In the end, you do a detriment, right? Both to yourself and to others, because you're not taking care of yourself. So let's talk about the season.
Yeah.
What we have coming up. So you mentioned Fireside Chats. You want to tell people about those?
Yeah. So, we, during our episodes, there are some topics that we haven't really touched on just because they are very sensitive, and there's been plenty of things that we could have talked about, and not that we're steering away from it, but we wanted to have time to think about how we want to tackle those topics. And so what we've decided is that we're going to keep our episodes, and having our Doxy family episodes, and then our just, guests and stuff like that, and hitting topics along the way. But we want to do fireside chats. So those are going to be sprinkled in between episodes as bonus episodes. And it will be Janice and I and a guest, maybe not, just depending, maybe into a family member, maybe, a little topic, big topic, old topic, new topic, whatever it is, whether it's topical on social media or the news or whatever it is, or if it's just something that, we thought about during the week or whatever it is. And we want to bring in experts here and there and have those open conversations. I mean, we're obviously very open and transparent with the way that we talk about things, but there's some things that are very sensitive, and we want to make sure that we get out our thoughts, but also, have that space to think them out loud and talk about it.
And the only thing I'll add to that is, as Jane and I have talked about the purpose of the fireside chats, all the things that you just said, and what I'll add is it's going to be the conversations that might piss some people off, right? Like, we're really careful in these episodes to not tackle things that are too political, for example, or too whatever. But at the end of the day, we also have a responsibility as our platform grows and our audience grows to be a voice for people who don't otherwise have a voice. And so we both have some things that, some experiences that we can build off of, that we can share, etc. And so, yes, those fireside chats are going to be your there should be a bell that goes off in your head when you see that come up, and know that we're not going to be ultra sensitive, and we're not going to be ultra screening. We're really going to say what we feel and we believe. And you may agree with us, wonderful. And you might not, also wonderful, by the way, because we are about creating conversations that invite people in, not shut people out. And so, but the fireside chats are going to be where we don't shy away, right? And yet we're going to have the quote unquote safety zone of our regular episodes where, we're going to be ourselves, because we always bring you our authentic selves, but also, be a little more PC, right? In those regular episodes. So create that space.
Yeah. And I think that it's also a space for us to learn about each other, because this is more of an open forum to, and almost, yes, you can respond to it, but what was your reaction and why?
Yes, exactly.
That's what we want to talk about, is what was your initial reaction? What initially went through you before you had time to think?
Yep.
What feelings came up? What did you say? What did you do?
Yep.
Because so many times, and to be transparent with that, and then go, but this is how I'm responding now.
Exactly.
How much it angered me, and this is what I felt like I wanted to do, but this is how I responded. So you're going to hear those raw nerves, and you're going to hear that reactionary aspect, and those are emotions. Because we're triggered, because it's something that, you're just sick and tired of hearing or seeing, or whatever the case may be. So it is going to be a little bit more, risque, or whatever you want to call it.
Raw. I love that you use the word raw, and I think that's a great word.
A little bit more raw, and but we're still going to be respectful, and it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's just, we are coaches, and so we are expected to be on all the time.
Yep.
That's exhausting.
Yep.
And we're incapable of being on all the time, even though people have those expectations for us.
That's right.
So the fireside chats, I don't even know why I just didn't say this at the beginning. The fireside chats are our space to be human.
Yeah, I love that.
Damn, why didn't I just say that at the beginning?
Damn it, God, it was about time. I'm like sitting here thinking to myself, if she would only say this.
The weeds were
it took you long enough. God. So that's that, you guys. And we have a few episodes queued up. The only thing I'm going to add to this season is that, and Jane already alluded to it, we are going to be continuing the Doxy story. You know, we started out strong with the Doxy story. We backed off of it a little bit, not really intentionally, but also kind of in our own off camera, off recording conversations, just not sure like how much more do people really want to hear. But this summer we had a couple of opportunities to have some conversations with folks and realized no, people actually are really intrigued by that, mostly because all of us have our family shit, and so it's nice to listen to somebody else's family shit. So we're going to bring you intermittently throughout the course of the season continued conversations. One we already have queued up with one of our uncles who neither one of us have really spent any, well, we've never spent any time. Jane had some childhood that she kind of remembers through pictures experiences, but meeting him really for the first time, queued up and really digging even deeper into the dynamics of the man who is our father, who brought us together for better or for worse. So yeah, we're going to bring you some of that too. So that's what you can expect this season, but we are just so thrilled that you're here listening right now. Obviously we need you to like and follow and subscribe and share, do all the things. Our audience doesn't grow unless you help us grow it. So we thank you for listening to this conversation, for sharing the conversation with others. And I saw a meme on social media the other day that was something to the effect of, it literally doesn't cost you a dime to press share, right? It doesn't cost you a single dime. And so why not do that for the people, especially in your life, who are just going down roads like we are, where we're just kind of taking a risk and seeing what happens. So, and if you do that, then you'll have preferential treatment at our shows when we go on the road. So there's that. You're welcome. All right, you guys, thank you. Love you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, peace.
Bye.